Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on. So, I went to see Blue Beetle today. Now, this is a movie which, as you guys may know, I've been excited for the last few months now. Pretty much ever since we got that first trailer, I've been quite excited for this movie. Um, like, um, like, Obviously, you guys may remember I reacted to the trailer for this movie back in April. And of course, I sent my video that this was a film that I was very excited about. And yeah, as the past few months have gone by, yeah, I've been very excited for this movie. But now, it was, after these few months waiting, it is now out today. It's the first movie in the DCU, the new universe. So I went to go see this movie today, and did it live up to the hype? The answer is yes. This is a really good movie. I would go as far as to call this movie the best DC movie we have gotten this year. So, let's delve a bit more into my overall thoughts on this film. So, starting things off with the cinematography. The cinematography in this movie is really good in my opinion. I think that this movie is shot really well. And I also really like the color palette in this movie. Like, this movie has a very blue color palette, which does, of course, make a lot of sense given that he's Blue Beetle. But yeah, I think, I think this film, it is actually a really nice movie to look at. So cinematography in this film is very good. The editing in this movie is really good too. I think the way this movie is edited and everything it's all done very well in my opinion. So yeah, I think the editing in this movie is very good. And there's the pace in this movie. So this film is 2 hours and 7 minutes long. Now, I'll be honest. This movie doesn't really rush, in my opinion. Like, I mean, you can kind of feel the 2 hour runtime. But with that being said, though, like, I'll admit those 2 hours, they actually went by pretty well, honestly. Like, by the time the 2 hours were up, I didn't feel like I had spent like so long in there and stuff. And I think the way this film, like, it gets to all its plot points and stuff, like once everything is introduced and stuff, it's done very well in my opinion. So yeah, the pace in this movie was very good. Then there's the sound and music in the film. All like the sound like this movie does have some really good sound effects of like when the suit's coming on and stuff and all the blasting and stuff. It's really nice. And I think the score in this movie is really good. It's very nice to listen to. It fits the movie very well. And there's a few noticeable songs in the like. There's actually like one or two like I think it's like Spanish versions of one or two very noticeable songs, which kind of reminds me of in the Meg when they has that funny version of Hey Mickey. Yeah. I think these like the Spanish version of these songs are very good. And yeah, and they really fit the film's like Latino style. But yeah, so I thought the sounds and music in this movie was really good. Then there's the visual effects in the movie. And I've gotta say, the visual effects in this movie were really good. Once or twice they could look a little bit cheap, but for pretty much the majority of the film, the visual effects were very good. And considering that this was originally meant to be a streaming movie, it's very impressive. And like, not like even the look of of Blue Beetle's costume and everything, like the way that they like adapted from the character of the comic book, it was done very well in my opinion. But yeah, so overall the visual effects in this movie were really good. They were really nice to look at, and like just the way they adapted the Blue Beetle outfit like into live action, it was done just brilliantly, honestly. And I mean, this movie has way better CGI than The Flash, which is really saying something. But yeah, so the visual effects in this film were very good. Then we have the characters.
What I say? No, 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 no,
So first off, our main character, Jaime Reyes, who eventually becomes the Blue Beetle. I think that Jaime, he makes for quite a good main protagonist. Like, I mean, he's a likable guy. He just like I mean his goal in the movie is like pretty much every single superhero like has some kind of like goal or like something they're trying to achieve in life. And well, for Jaime, his family aren't really the richest and stuff, and he just wants a good job so he can provide for them and everything. And they didn't really show too much of this in the trailers, but honestly, he actually makes for quite a likable main protagonist. He's pretty much he's a young guy and everything, and I thought he was he was a very likable character. And when it was, of course, when he got the scarab on him and he becomes the Blue Beetle and stuff, obviously it does show of him like kind of trying to like master being the Blue Beetle and everything, and the way that it all happens and everything, it's done very well in my opinion. But yeah, so Jaime was he was a very likable character, and I really liked the performance from Xolo Maridueña. So yeah, I was definitely be excited to see more of him in the later DCU.
I just wanna rap. Jenny?
Guard that with your life, but do not.
Then we have Jaime's love interest, Jenny. And in my opinion, Jenny was a very good character. I thought she was a good love interest. She has very good chemistry with Jaime. And despite the fact that she's related to the movie's main villain and everything, she still tries, she's not on their side. She wants to help Jaime and his family out, and especially after Jaime gets the scarab on him. And I think makes her a very likable character, so yeah, Jenny was very good.
They don't get out much.
Now then we have the rest of Jaime's family. You've got his parents, his younger sister, his grandmother, and his uncle. And I'll be honest, I thought the rest of his family were really good. I thought that their chemistry with Jaime and like their interactions and all that, it was really fun. The movie did very well in my opinion. And if I had a favorite amongst this bunch, I really liked his uncle Rudy. Rudy made for a very likable character, and he was very funny, and I mean, he's of course played by one of this movie's biggest stars, none other than the George Lopez himself. And it's safe to say George Lopez has a ton of fun in the role. So yeah, the rest of Jaime's family were very good, especially his uncle Rudy.
Sarah chose you, but it belongs to me.
The love you feel for your family makes you weak.
Then we have the villains of the movie. Oh man, these villains. So our main villain of the movie is Victoria Kors. She's Jenny's aunt, and well, I mean, she's the businesswoman who pretty much like wants the scarab and everything. And oh my god, let me just say something. She is really evil. Like, oh my god. All I'll say is, you might actually end up hating her after this movie, because oh my god, she certainly is one evil. But with that being said, oh man, Susan Sarandon does a really good performance as this very unlikable villain. She really makes Vic a very evil human being. So yeah, Victoria was a very good villain. And then we have the other villain of the movie, her bodyguard, Carapax. And who is basically the indestructible man. And let me just say, Carapax was a pretty awesome villain. Like, I mean, he is certainly one guy who you do not want to mess with. Like, oh my god. He comes across as a menace. He's a very cold character. And the performance from his actor Raoul Max Trujillo, he did a very good performance as Carapax, and oh my god, he really proved to be a threat for Jaime. And yeah, he was definitely a great opponent for Jaime. Jaime really ended up he met his match with this guy, and this was only his first outing as Blue Beetle. But yeah, so Victoria Court and Carapax, they were both very good villains. And we also have in this movie this scientist who works for Victoria, who is named Sanchez, but his name isn't actually Sanchez. His real name is actually really long, and I won't say his full name. But of course, he's now, although he works for as the main scientist for Victoria, throughout the movie, I'll say throughout the movie, he doesn't agree with Victoria's actions and everything, and he's very wary of stuff and everything, but all I'll say is he actually proves to be a really likable character, and all I'll say is his character got quite a satisfying payoff, which I won't give away. And of course he's played by Harvey Guillén. I deeply apologize if I mispronounced his name. But of course, he's also the same guy who earlier this year voiced Paraiso in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And what's funny is that, well, after this review, my next review is going to be on Strays. And what's really funny is that he's actually in that movie as well. So, not only is he in 2 movies the exact same day, but he's in a movie where he is once again voicing a dog. Yeah, I thought he did a good performance as the scientist. And he played he made this guy very likable, and it was really funny. When I heard his voice, I was like, yup, that is definitely Paraiso from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So the characters in the movie were really good. Then we have the plot of the movie. Now this film, from the trailers, he was we have to think this isn't really a typical origin story. it follows the beats of, this character. He gets this thing and he has to basically learn how to control it and everything, but I'll admit the twists and turns that this movie takes with its plot and everything, what it does with all the subplots, and how it honestly becomes kind of a high stake story. It was all done very well, and it really made this movie stand out from other superhero origin movies. But I thought the film had a good plot, and the way it executed its plot was done very well. And then we have the narrative structure. Now, this movie, obviously it's called Blue Beetle, so it's a Blue Beetle movie. And I mean, the film, it focuses a good bunch on Jaime, how he becomes the Blue Beetle, and the movie really shows him mastering his art as this new superhero. But we get subplots as well, dedicated to other characters. The movie really heavily focuses on Jenny and Victoria and the whole thing with the chords and stuff. With chord industries and everything, and the movie surprisingly focused heavily on this aspects and stuff. And I thought the film it did make for a very high stakes plot, but it definitely it took some interesting turns, and I thought the way it's kind of equally balanced everything, it was all done very well in my opinion. Overall, Blue Beetle was a really good movie. It's actually a film which is getting way better the more I look back on it. The characters were definitely a strong point for me, but the film, it had a good plot. There was definitely a lot in the plot. There was definitely a lot of stuff going on, but I think the way it kind of balanced everything was done very well. And it took some very interesting turns which really made it stand out from other superhero origin stories, and not to mention it was topped off with some very good visual effects. And trust me, this movie has way better visual effects than The Flash, which is really saying something. But this is a really good film. It's definitely one which I recommend you to check out, especially if you're a huge fan of DC and Blue Beetle and everything. And overall, I think it's a really good way to start off the DCU. So, with that, I'm going to give Blue Beetle a strong 8 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.